So that was yesterday during Business Morning. Now let's get another perspective to that bill which is ongoing. We have Professor Ken Ife, developmental economist. Professor Ife, good morning and welcome to the program. Good to have you again on the show.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Good. So, I don't think I need to say much. That was Dr. Mude Yusuf on the raw materials bill. But I think I saw an article you wrote, and you're on the opposing side of that. What's your own perspective to this bill?
Now, let us be, if you go to court, the first issue that a judge will address is the issue of jurisdiction. Now, we need to address the issue, the most critical. I have a lot of respect for Muda. He's a good friend and very, very robust in his arguments. And I like what he had to say, but I will beg to disagree on some aspect. But let's deal with jurisdiction. Now, the bills can come from members' bills, or it could come from government, or it could be sponsored. The issue of origin of bill shouldn't even arise, because that's why you have members, you have a public hearing, where all stakeholders come and put their case. Secondly, when you look at the structure of our Nigerian industries and the economy, you find out that there are horizontal MDAs, ministries. You have agriculture. They're all based on raw materials. You have agriculture, you have solid mineral, you have petroleum. They're all based essentially on raw materials. And when you look at trade and industry, it's actually at a secondary level and much, much more vertical. It talks about the processing, which is the industry, and then it goes on trade on top of it, and then it begins to talk about export. The only, first of all, Ministry of Science and Technology is a common denominator across all ministries, because it's dealing with science, it's dealing with technology, and it's dealing with innovation. Now, Raw Material Research Council is an agency of Ministry of Science and Technology, but it is more than an agency. It is actually a common denominator across all industries in the country. Whether you're in solid mineral or in agriculture or in natural, wherever you are, they have original mandate to work with technology, innovation, biotechnology, then you seed multiplication, then you come to production. Agriculture does production. This mineral exploration. They deal with all that before they now come to development. Now, that development was practically missing when when I wasn't sure whether Muda was attacking the message or attacking the messenger. We need to focus on the message. So, mandate, the only organization that has that 100% mandate to deal with issues of research, issues of development across all sectors, and then migrate it to the point of consumption or export is Raw Material Research and Development Council. There should be we'll have to come to agreement on this, because there's nothing wrong. In fact, all the arguments that my friend put forward actually supports why we should have this regulation. Now, let me tell you one key reason. We are talking about colonial legacy. All the essence of the colonial legacy was to place us as an import-dependent economy and to have an international division of labor that consigns Nigeria as a producer of raw materials. So if you look at the European Partnership Agreement, wants 80% of what we import into Nigeria. And they want all our raw materials to them. So they effectively disconnected the trade, industry, and all that. They disconnected them, and they are actually attacking the base of our economy. So you need Raw Material Research Council to engage, because this is the EU is number 2 in the business with Nigeria, and they are the colonial masters. That is the structure that we are struggling with. So you cannot achieve anything by continuing to do the same thing over and over again. You need a radical transformational approach, and that's what this bill says. Now, this bill does not say ban anything. So we shouldn't mention that word ban. It just says progressive value addition. And let me tell you something. I'm from ECOWAS Commission. This bill hasn't said anything different from what we have done in ECOWAS. In ECOWAS, we have free movement of goods and services, and that treaty allows any raw material in Nigeria to be shared across West Africa, because we are a single trade-free zone. But when you come to value addition, it says you must have 30% value addition before goods that are going to process goods be recognized as being compliant, and then you can move. And we have methodologies for dealing with this. You have to register that product, and then they have to determine from the registration that you meet that value addition of 30%, and then you are recognized. So it's not an issue. It causes democracy, no bureaucracy there. It's just standard. So what we are doing is just applying what we already party to. We already have this treaty with ECOWAS. But you can see, like many other treaties, nothing gets done in Nigeria to implement any of those. I have, for more than since 2008, I've been writing, preparing so many policy frameworks. Economy, they don't, when it comes to Nigeria, they just don't want to know. In 2010, I worked with trade and industry. I was the DFID, UK DFID trade advisor to Minister of Trade and Industry to Nigeria. For that 2010 and 11, I pushed going with the trade to go to finance and customs and national planning for us to implement national single window. Till today, as I'm talking to you, it came into effect in 2010. Today, Nigeria has not implemented it. And that's why it is at the root of the problem we're having in import, the high cost of import, and all our traders are working to Cotonou and to Togo to go and deliver their goods within 24 hours, and then we'll find them through the porous border. It is the failure of all other segments of the value chain that are causing our problem. Raw Materials Research Council will deal with all the segments of the value chain. So, and then also, you know, when you have Nigerian policies, we focus on segments. We never take a holistic end-to-end intervention.
All right, Prof.
Allows you to take that
just
view,
before you go on,
starting from seed tech. So that is, so we have settled the issue of mandate.
Okay, Prof. Let's take some of those issues that Dr. Yusuf raised. For instance, he talked about the fact that there needs to be flexibility. Now, if there's a law, some of the things he said, which we couldn't capture, because that's, of course, an abridged part of the conversation, was that in the area of furniture, for instance, you could say that Nigeria has the productive capability to add value. In the area of cocoa, you may not be able to say that. So by the time you make it a law, it's not flexible to allow for the different sectors to move around with the capacity that they have and be able to maximize the opportunities that's available at this time.
Okay, there's a lot of sense in what he said. But let me tell you this. If you don't have a law, then you don't have the incentive for foreign people to come in to invest and then have a protection. Do you know that you have to have infant industry protection? If you don't have infant industry protection, why would they bring the technology to you? Why would they bring it? And then you do not have any guarantee that at least they can start having the raw material to the grade that they can operate. You don't have it, they're not coming. It's not going to be business as usual. I'm telling you, nothing is going to happen. The way you have it as a law, first of all, you have phased the implementation of law. You could say, okay, over the next 5 years, over the next period. And don't forget that this law will still take into effect, will still recognize our commitments to ECOWAS, which is a treaty commitment. It will still recognize our commitment to Africa Continental Free Trade. These are all commitments. So the law will still recognize them and work through them as we are facing things. So it's not, law doesn't stop, and then you can change law anytime. You have an act. There's an act to amend an act. Is it not what happens? You have a finance act year by year that continues to amend the act and then smoothen the rough edges. And you have to have a law so that everybody takes you seriously. Those coming in to invest, those at the home front investing. But look at what Dangote is going through with PIA law in force. He's still fighting for us to implement the terms in the PIA law. What if we didn't have law? What will happen? $20 billion investment will be at risk. So, you know, I understand that, but it is actually the reason why we should go forward. And let me take your next question.
So he talked about the production capability. Shouldn't the government, first of all, ensure that there's the capacity for this production? We talk about infrastructure, our power supply, and we know what manufacturers are going through in the country. Shouldn't that be taken care of first before we now do this 30% compelled value adding?
You will wait forever. I'm telling you, you will wait forever. The design, you are part of a global design that makes you continuously go down. You are never designed to grow your economy. And I have made a distinction between tariff war. We are not about building tariff wall. Let me tell you, Ronald Reagan in 1987, 25th of April, said to America, remember what happened during the Great Depression. You don't build tariff walls. And then because what happens, if you build tariff walls, I tell you what happens. Now, immediately, all the companies on the other side of which is Nigerian companies, will simply run under the cover of tariff wall. They will not invest in technology. They will not be competitive. There will not be any more innovation. And then they'll continue to depend on government, which will be bringing subsidy. Prices will go up and up and up and up. Consumers will switch off, and they go to substitute product, and you kill all the jobs. And if countries apply similar tariff against you, what means is that 5 million jobs, American jobs, are going to go that are doing in export, and those 5 million jobs in import will go, 10 million gone. But that is not what we are talking about here. We are talking about a small wall that enables you to bring in all the investment in technology, that makes sure that you encourage all the investment in your inward to build the infrastructure, the productive capacity, that deals with innovation, that deals with all other supply chain. Is a value chain approach. So you are not leaving it to market forces. You are actually deliberately now coming under the support of the law to act on the entire value chain, starting from seed technology, innovation, and then production and processing all the way through, so that you can actually build the capacity of your companies to compete. Now, let me tell you what happens. Traders are the one running the country. They are running the country because they go to the north, they bring the thing. You carry yam from Benue. By the time it gets to Lagos, half of it are rotten. I mean, cassava value chain, we've done 5,000 hectares last year, and we're doing 20,000 hectares. Hear the story of the cassava. The biggest product in Africa, Nigeria, we buy about 25% of world production, 64 million metric tons. 90% of this is presumed to have been consumed in Nigeria. Only 10% is available for people to process. But 40% of that is post-harvest loss. You're not getting investment into there. So there's so many asymmetries in the entire value chain that you can only resolve when you have the certainty that investors are coming to process and that you have minimum protection. So this is, it is a necessity. It is a necessity for you to do what we are trying to do. And I really thank this company for bringing this agency for bringing this forward. That is the solution that links all the missing parts of the puzzle in the country's macroeconomy and industrialization configuration. Yeah, you talk about power. Power. How many years have we been waiting for power? A country of 230 million people are basking with 5,000 megawatts. When South Africa, we are 4 times the population, but they have 58,000 megawatts. So per capita is about 40 times more power than Nigeria. You think that we will never do anything until we get to the stage of South Africa? Our infrastructure is 35%, stock of infrastructure. South Africa is 80%. South Africa can wait because they already built infrastructure up to 85%. Nigeria hasn't started. So you don't bring this argument at all. You have to unleash the forces that act on the value chain. Let me tell you, I talked to some of the farmers. The biggest challenge that they have is that this feeding bottle, feeding them, means every year we'll give them billions of naira of fertilizer. Some of the fertilizer arrive after the planting season, seed free, everything free, and then they never rise up to the challenge. So if you've got that's the disconnection. That's how the colonists want us to operate, and that is how we're operating. Feeding bottle here. Look at what we're doing in oil and gas. And look at solid mineral, 44 solid minerals, only 5 is giving South Africa almost 40% of their revenue. But look at Nigeria. They're all scattered. That is the design. You must rise above this design and do all the connections. And it is value chain. If you don't have technology and innovation, then you'll never be able to be competitive, whatever you say. So it is a market. This is the economy is driven by feeding bottle. Is the traders that are driving the economy. They're so concerned about what they trade on, and they forget that for you to trade, you have to have products that are fit for trade. We just don't have the products. If you want to go and borrow money from a bank, they'll say, we'll give you money. But bring us a bankable business proposal. You don't have bankable business proposal. So this is the situation. So this bill touches the nerve that is required to activate industrialization in the country.
touched on, and his concern there stems from how do we measure the 30%? Because, I mean, who says 30% addition on cocoa, what would it result to? The one on furniture, what would it result to? Which is why he brought in the fear of bureaucracy, and we know with bureaucracy comes opportunity for corruption and compromise.
That's not true. I've told you what we are doing in ECOWAS. We're already applying ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, ETLS. That requires 30% value addition. So what we do is that you can move any raw material product across West Africa because it is a free trade zone. It's protected under the free trade, free movements. We call it free movement of goods and services and capital and right of establishment. But the second one is taking it to value addition. And we say 30%. If you want to trade this product freely without duty in the whole of West Africa, you must demonstrate to us that it has met a minimum of 30% value addition. So how do we do that? Companies can move refined products. If you cannot demonstrate to us, we'll charge you the duty. But if you can demonstrate to us that this product meets 30%, how you demonstrate it is take a product, it's product by product. You now give a breakdown of what it contains, and then we'll now see where you've added value. You have heated this, you have dried this, you have added. So we can see that. So we can see where even the packaging of the product is part of it. So we get all that. It's very easy. So the product is registered because it has made this requirement. We know what it is. It's not a bureaucracy. NAFDAC does the same. But NAFDAC focuses on the quality, the analysis of the product, and looking at you have sanitary and phytosanitary issues around it. You have the test of pesticides test and all these content. You have all this measurement. That's science. The other people, Sun, does the same in that. But we are talking about a slightly different ball game. But those years, the quality issues will still come in. So are you going to say NAFDAC to stop what they're doing? To tell Sun to stop what they're doing? They're doing what they are doing. And you meet this requirement once. You don't go every day to share it. Once you meet it and it's ready, then it keeps going in and out. But we have to do this.
All right, Prof, thank you so much. We hope, two eggheads, Dr. Yusuf, Professor Ife, both of you, and thank you, say your friends, that you can help us to find, a middle ground in all of this. But Professor Ken Ife, developmental economist, thank you so much for your views on the program. Really appreciate it. My pleasure. Please, anytime, we need to educate people about what this means to Nigeria.